I suddenly saw my colleague being murdered. Terrified, I hid in the corner and trembled until the killer dragged the body away. I hurriedly hid in the bathroom. When I opened the bathroom door, I discovered that the company's security guard had also been murdered. As I stepped forward to investigate, I accidentally triggered the flush mechanism. Fearing the killer might hear me, I quickly closed the door. I then stepped on the body, but before I could catch my breath, the killer walked into the bathroom. I was extremely nervous. Fortunately, he was only there to clean the blood off his clothes. Just as I relaxed, he suddenly spoke.
How you doing in there, Barney? You want to toss me your keys?
I saw the keys on the body and realized what he was going to do next. I carefully jumped down and hid in another stall just before he entered. I didn't expect the infrared light to suddenly turn on. I was about to be discovered. As he stood up, I triggered the flush switch at the same time and escaped the crisis.
Stay there.
He then left the bathroom. I waited until I couldn't hear any sounds outside before escaping and opening a door. I ran into another colleague who was working overtime. I told him about the killer. We then went to the elevator to escape, but found that it had been shut down.
He's dead.
We went to the emergency exit but found that it had also been locked by the killer. All the exits were blocked. We had no choice but to return to the office. I asked my colleague to use the computer to call the police while I went back to my desk to get my phone. But the next second, I saw the killer walking toward us.
Tell me, internet just shut.
The computer hadn't even been shut down yet, and the killer had already arrived. He noticed the open computer and slowly approached us. We hid under the table, terrified. Fortunately, the killer didn't suspect anything. He shut down the computer and left. After confirming that he had left, we ran in the opposite direction of the killer. I suddenly remembered that the boss was still in the company, so I asked my colleague to find a way to call the police while I went to notify the boss. When I arrived at the boss's office, I found that there was nothing there.
Where'd you go?
Then I rushed back to the office area, but I didn't see my colleague. Then I quietly slipped back to my desk, picked up my phone, and dialed the police. However, the phone didn't make a sound. I found that it had run out of battery.
Goddamn iPhones.
I had no choice but to go charge my phone. When I turned around, I found that my colleague had also been killed, but before I could grieve, the killer suddenly returned. I hid in time and wasn't discovered. While he was moving the body, I quickly got up and hid in the storage room. As I was observing the killer, he suddenly looked in my direction. At that moment, his phone rang. He answered the call while dragging the body toward me. I was extremely desperate as the danger crept closer step by step.